The cat is here on time like usual to be annoying with the stream. But anyway, welcome back to the stream, everybody. If you are in the Discord, you probably saw the announcement of the updated Steam page for Alka Mortis. I told you this was coming for a while, and it's finally here. Now, the screenshots and the trailer still need to be updated, but the description has been updated to be much more compelling. We've got the new capsule art, which looks amazing. And yes, you know, in the age of AI, I do have to say this, that this capsule art was hand-done, handmade by an actual artist. So I'm checking right now to see, I'm checking with the artist to see if I can share his information. So I will share that when I get a response to that. But yeah, so we've got new art, new description. The trailer is the next step that's coming, and then all the screenshots will be replaced as well. So yeah, I think it looks much nicer. I think this capsule art is just amazing. I love it. And yeah, I think all that is for the purpose of getting you to wishlist. So if you haven't wishlisted, definitely consider doing so. I'd appreciate that. But yeah, we made this capsule art with the specific goal of being as clickable as possible. So I think it accomplished that goal, especially when it's a little bit smaller. Like, I'm just going to zoom out here. When it's a little bit smaller, you could still read the text. It might be too small on your end. You could still read the text, but that teal color with like the dark silhouette, I don't know, that just looks very compelling to me, even at small sizes. So that was our number one goal, is to make this as clickable as possible. I think the artist definitely succeeded in that for sure. So what else? You could also support me on Patreon. The link for that is in the description below. If you subscribe at the top tier for at least 1 month, I will send you an Alka Mortis Steam key when the game launches, so you will not need to buy the game on Steam. And I will put your name in the in-game Alka Mortis credits. So again, you just need to subscribe at 1 month. Of course, if you want to subscribe for longer, I would very much appreciate that as well. I think what I'm going to do with respect to the credits is I will order the names in the credits by who ultimately ended up donating the most to who ended up donating the least, right? So to be fair to the people who have been sponsors for many months, they will have an earlier placement, or an earlier placement in the credits. But anyone who subscribes for at least 1 month will end up in the in-game credits there. And then also, I've got my Udemy courses. These will teach you how to build complete games in the Godot engine. They're relatively inexpensive as well, so definitely check those out if you want to learn the Godot engine. And yeah, that's it. Okay. All right, what are we doing today? Let's say hello to everyone first. Hello, Clickertail. Welcome. Good to see you. Welcome back. Arin Genesis. Good morning, the Malicious Rabbit. Good afternoon, Celestial Beagle. Welcome. Hello, Ninja Link. Welcome back. Welcome back, David. Good to see you. Yeah, the new art is cool, isn't it? Oh man, it looks good, but you missed the chance to make the cauldron the O. So the thing with the logo, or the thing with the text, is that, so there's a couple problems. One, Alka Mortis is not a real word. So for people who are not native English speakers, we want to make it as memorable as possible. So that's why there's kind of like a little separation between Alka and Mortis. At least that's the theory. We don't obviously have any data to back that up. But the other thing too is that the logo needs to be readable for the same reason, right? So we can't really get fancy with the logo because it's not a real word. So if you end up making the logo, like the word is already a made up word, right? But then if you make it even harder to read on top of that, it may just get lost on people. Like, what is the actual name of the game? So we wanted to make the name as crystal clear as possible, which means that the logo is not super fancy, not super decorative, because again, since it's a made up word, it needs to be as clear as possible, given that it's already somewhat confusing, especially for non-native speakers who don't realize maybe that Alka Mortis is a play on alchemy. So yeah, we went through several iterations of basically every part of that art, and maybe I'll see if I could get permission to see to show you the earlier iterations of the art as well. That might be an interesting thing to talk through, because there's a lot of similarities to the initial version, but there's also quite a few differences from the initial version. But anyway, it turned out really good. I think is great. The poor rat in the picture, yeah, true, yeah. So yeah, a lot of thought went into it, a lot of time went into it, and I think that shows, and of course it can be tweaked too if we need to tweak it. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, anyway, so I'm currently on, what is this, day 6? Day 6 of making 3 new items per day. I only got 2 done yesterday, which kind of sucks. But there's a good reason for that. So the reason why I didn't get so much done yesterday is because I actually had to do a bunch of technical stuff with the new altar item that I made. So that altar item, let me show you. So this altar to Corral. So critical chance increased by 0% whenever an allied item is paralyzed, gain 1% additional critical chance permanently up to 50%. So that one was a little bit tricky to get right. I had a couple of bugs in some of my systems that were making that ability not work. So yeah, I just had to do a bunch of maintenance stuff on my systems to get this ability here to work. So it kind of ate into a lot of the time that I had yesterday for making items. But anyway, the good news is that I did make a new item late last night, the Grasping Hands item. And so the art is already finished for this, and I think the ability for this is also going to be relatively simple. So hopefully we can just knock that out within the next like 10 or 15 minutes here, and then we can move on to something else. So this Grasping Hands, this is 3x1. I set the turn cooldown to 10 seconds, and the reason is because what I'm gonna do is I'm going to make this have an ability that overrides the turn cooldown of everything above. So it's going to be like the giant mushroom ability, but in reverse. So this is basically just going to be, like, the goal of this card is basically like, if you want to like pile up cooldown reduction on it and then have that project upwards to everything, I think that's, yeah, it should be interesting. So what does the altar do that required so much work? It's not that the ability is... So it gains 1% permanent... So there's a couple of problems. It gains crit chance permanently every time an allied item is paralyzed. And that's capped at 50% max. So there was a couple of problems. One, I made this a passive ability, crit chance per paralysis, which presented some problems because typically only combat abilities can listen for things that happen during combat, but this is a passive ability. And the other problem is that passive abilities don't update until like after combat, so they don't update during combat. So the problem is that if I'm increasing the critical chance of this item, as a result of being in a passive ability, it becomes very difficult to update that critical chance as items get paralyzed during combat. So I kind of had to do a weird thing where I've got the ability listener, which listens for paralysis. This works regardless if it's in a combat or passive ability. And so what this is actually doing is every time an item gets paralyzed, it's actually increasing the critical chance modifier directly on itself. But then when the state gets reset, we're setting the self-critical chance back to the current chance. So the current chance is being tracked permanently every time a paralysis comes in. It's updating the critical chance modifier in accordance with the new chance that was increased during combat. But then when combat ends, everything gets reset. So we just reset the self-critical chance ability back to the current chance. And then there's the challenge of persisting that state as well. So making sure that when this ability is duplicated or when the game is saved, that state is all restored. So anyway, it was just like a lot of pieces, and there was like tiny things that were wrong in multiple systems that were making this not work. So it took some time to like debug and think about how to like make that work, but I think it's fine. It's a little bit hacky because it's listening for combat abilities, even though it's a non-combat ability, and then it has to manage some state and whatnot. But I think the moral of the story here is that I can still accomplish that kind of thing with my system. My system is flexible enough to handle that stuff. It's just a matter of like figuring out how to put all the pieces together. So anyway. We're going to take this turn cooldown override. Oh, the other thing that took up some time yesterday is I made it so that when I build my C# project, it also generates the translations. So I have removed an extra step from my build process, I think. But anyway, let's do grasping hands. I'm going to paste this. Turn cooldown override. New query target provider. I also added just like a little helpful thing. Query target provider.create options. Trying to streamline how I define this a little bit. Options. What is going on here? Oh, this is like... Okay. Options.query directions is equal to up. Yep, that's basically it. Change the key in the giant mushroom as well. So this should actually say cooldown. Turn cooldown should not be a phrase that's used anywhere. So we'll fix that. Grasping hands, cooldown override. So this should actually be just cooldown override here. The key doesn't really matter, but I think it would be good to make that consistent. So now if I build the game, that should update my translation file as well. Hello, Percival, welcome. Hello, Mel, sorry I missed your chat. What is the vibe today? Just making more content, that's all. Making more content. Is there any turn cooldown in here? There is. Artifact, description, tactics manual. Let's just fix everything while we're here. So turn cooldown, ability self turn cooldown reduce. Fix all this language while I'm thinking of it. This is the other reason why I didn't get all of the items done yesterday, is like I did do a bunch of just like random tweaks and stuff. enchant turn cooldown. So let's do enchant turn cooldown. Oh, self turn cooldown modification. Right, okay, we should be good now. So if I build this, that should update the translation file as well. It's my first time watching you. What is this text file? Hello, Roar Thunder. This text file here is what you're referring to, I think. This is the translation file. So this is where all of the English strings in my game go. The strings are all basically key and then string. And then what would happen is I would hand this file off to translators, and they would just change the English text in the message string portion, but they would keep the key the same. So what ends up happening with the translation is you just swap out the file at runtime essentially, and it just looks up, okay, what is the French version of Artifact Description Tactics Manual? And then it pulls the French text in. So this is just part of the translation system. Oh yeah. Do you have a pseudo localization file? I don't know. Unless you mean like just like a test file. I do have like a test French translation, but it's out of date now. I've probably added, you know, dozens more strings to it, but for localization, not your own organization, right. And the thing about this file too is that this is a generated file. So this is generated by my code, which means that I'm not supposed to manually edit this at all. So this file just gets updated in response to my source code changing, basically. Hello, Royal Munjask. Welcome back. Good to see you. Random, but who thinks Valve will drop Half-Life 3 with the Steam Machine in a couple weeks here? I do not know. I don't really understand the whole Half-Life thing. I mean, I guess I do, but I've never found Half-Life to be all that compelling. But I generally don't like science fiction anyway, so like, that's probably why. Are you going to hire translators? Yeah, that's to be determined still. To be determined. Hello, Star Cannon. Evening, is this your first game? No, this is not my first game. This is my probably 48th game around there. In terms of games that I'm trying to make somewhat of a commercial success, this is my second game. The first game that I tried to make some real money on was Gunforged. You could see my Steam page for that. Gunforged did pretty well. I think it's at like 3,500 copies sold or something like that on Steam, which is, you know, it's respectable. I don't think, I would say it's respectable, but it's not what I'm hoping for with Alchemortis. But I've made dozens of games before Gunforged. So, yeah, not my first game. Oh, pseudoloc, I'm familiar. Right, okay. Yeah, what I usually do if I want to test the translation, my version of pseudolocalization is just feeding this file into an AI and saying translate to French. And I'm not going to use AI translations for the final game. The translations will be done by people. But for development purposes, having just a rough AI translated version, I don't speak French anyway, so I can't notice the issues if there are any, but seeing something that looks like French on the screen is definitely valuable. So But I could also ask it to do like Pig Latin or something, or do what you said, like just replace all the text with those accented characters and whatnot. Hello, Emerson. Welcome back. I'll eat my old smelly shoes if Half-Life 3 drops like this. Well, would you do us the honor of posting the video in the Discord if that happens? That would be great. Is this Rider IDE or are you using AI for coding? I see you have Claude Code plugin. This is not Rider, this is VS Code, and yes, I do use Claude on occasion for doing certain tasks. I also have the Copilot tab autocomplete. But you'll see as we get into making more cards here, I still do the vast majority of programming, I guess by hand you could say. But Claude is very useful for doing very rote tasks that would take me several hours to do. It's also very useful for getting feedback on like planned architecture changes, debugging issues it's very useful for. So yeah, it has its uses. The question now though is, do we want to add something else for the grasping hands or not? So if you put English in the game without the message ID, it will stand out as it's not pseudoloc. Yeah, that's true, yeah. Decent numbers, yeah, I would say decent. Will there be an option to take part in the translation? That's to be determined. How exactly I'm going to do the translations is, you know, it's up in the air. It may be the case that just for completeness, I'll hire translators for release, and then, you know, if there are patches like content patches for the game after release, instead of trying to engage the translators and get them to update it and everything, I may just open it up to community translation after that, because there will be fewer new things in there, and you know, the whole hassle of like trying to coordinate all these translators getting all the languages updated would be kind of, you know, probably too much trouble. But we'll see. I don't have an exact plan in place yet. What? Also, check this out. I augmented my Reach of the Apostate. I forgot I called it that. Reach of the Apostate. Sets the cooldown of allied items above equal to this item's cooldown. So it's got a 10-second base cooldown, which is actually quite long. But the idea is that since it modifies all the item cooldowns in lockstep, if I go and I add enchant turn cooldown, that's going to update that. Why is that not updated? Uh-oh. Oh, because, right, adding the enchant via the cheats menu does not trigger the update that I need to update. But anyway, so it's 9.3 seconds now. Let me do this. So then if I do something like add item elf in a jar, add item elf in a jar, all items have their cooldowns reduced by 0.2 seconds. So we'll put that in there. The Reach of the Apostate is probably going to get a corrupted ability. Oh, it didn't. We escaped without a corrupted ability. So it's 8.9 seconds now. So these should be 8.9 seconds as well. So I think, so there's a couple of places where this could be useful. It's got a 10-second cooldown, which is quite a lot for most items. But for example, the Skeleton Dragon has quite a long cooldown. So this is I guess it's not that long, 11.5 seconds, but you could immediately get a turn cooldown reduction by slapping the dragon above that, right? But I could see this being useful in the opposite direction too. I'm planning to add some items that have their damage scaled based off of how long their turn cooldown is, or based on the sum of the cooldowns of like the adjacent items. And so you may actually be able to use this in the opposite way to increase the cooldown of certain items for the purposes of scaling. So anyway, this is more of like a utility item. I'm not really planning on making this like super strong. It's just give the player that ability, an extra time where they can get that, sets the cooldown of allied items above equal to this item's cooldown, and just, you know, let players use that utility as they see fit. I think that's all I'm going to do for this one, though, honestly. Unless there's something else I could do. I could give it a slight negative by saying that it paralyzes one of the allied enemies or one of the allied items above as well, but maybe not. I think I'll just leave it like that for now. Okay. So we updated. Let me do this first. Whatever, I'll just do it all. Update grasping hands. Okay. Not gonna lie, I already thought about volunteering for the German translation. That'd be great. Yeah, I appreciate everyone who's been volunteering their time to translate. I'll definitely keep that in mind if that's something that I want to do, but yeah, we'll have to see. Yesterday, Godot sent a newsletter that includes your video. Stop using nodes for everything. Did really? Wait a minute, wait. Can somebody send that to me? Do you have the email still? Can you forward it to admin@firebelly.com? I need to subscribe to the Godot newsletter. Is that true? Why did no one tell me? Oh, they're using ListMonk too. It's nice to know that my my video has the implicit approval of the Godot folks. I think there could be some legal issues with community translations, especially in the EU. I know that Jonas, the creator of Thunderbolt, had to get a license from translators. Leave it to the EU to make everything more difficult than it needs to be. Sorry, I have a bitter spot in my soul about the EU forcing cookie banners on all of us. Thankfully, Brave blocks those, so. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll have to see what happens. How could you balance the game with so much data and scene? Well, honestly, I mean, the playtests are basically all the ways I balance it. Just doing my own playtests, but also getting the feedback from players. The balancing in this game is not really like scientific. It's more like vibes based. So it's like, oh, this item is consistently used for, you know, people are reporting that this item is consistently used, or it feels too strong that they always take it. And so that's like, oh, well, I'll just knock down the power a little bit, right? Or even in my own playtests, I'll find items that I almost never use, and so those might get buffed. It's all vibes based. Like, I don't think it needs to be like perfectly mathematically balanced, because there are going to naturally be items that are more situational than other items. So yeah, like an item having a much lower usage rate than everything else does not necessarily indicate a problem. It just might be a more niche item that, you know, is just like very powerful in certain circumstances, but generally not powerful. I watched that video, yeah. Awesome. I was about to feel personally attacked about the EU comment, but that cookie banner argument is a fair point, yeah. It's all right. I mean, I think it's one of those situations where the road to hell is paved with good intentions. It's, you know, it's well-intentioned, but in practice, it's just kind of like, I think it's a downgrade in terms of the user experience of the web, but I don't know why, though. Like, it can't be that hard to detect like what region the person is coming from and just like not show the cookie banner for people coming from the US, right? It's like there's no similar restrictions on that kind of data in the United States. So I'm getting like these cookie banners and it's just like there's no legal reason to show me a cookie banner, so don't show it to me. Like, just collect my data. Sell all my data to everyone. I don't care. I just want to see what AI-generated blog article you have. Break out the Excel spreadsheets, yeah. The newsletter have a web version, but cannot send links here. I don't know if I could send you a private message. Are you in the Discord? If you're in the Discord, you can feel free to just post that in the game dev channel if you want to. If you're not in the Discord, you can send me an email. Like I said, admin@firebelly.com. It's the browser that stores the cookies. The user should have access to control what they want without the website caring. Yeah, I don't really know how all that works. Because yeah, I think you do have cookie settings in a browser typically, right? Like you can say don't store any cookies or whatever. I think if I'm not mistaken though, I think that that regulation is more about like tracking cookies. Like, cause a lot of places use cookies to retain like your authentication state, right? So like if you're logged in, a lot of the times your logged in state will be stored in a cookie. Or local storage or whatever. I don't know. Maybe I've been out of the web dev for enough years now where it's like, I don't know like what the main pattern is now. I think most people use local storage now, but it wasn't uncommon to store like your authentication, like JWT or whatever, in a cookie. And so that's not like necessarily a tracking thing. It's just like to make sure that you stay logged in. If you say, hey, I want to remain logged in. But I think if I'm not mistaken, I think a lot of that regulation was about like tracking and data storage specifically. If you want to have your game in the EU, you have to follow their laws, live EU. I think most of these quirky laws are what makes me feel like a person, not a product. Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, I don't think there's anything super burdensome. It's just like, I mean, look, if accepting volunteer contributions to translations requires me to like do all this legal stuff in the EU, I'm just gonna hire a translator. Like, it's too much for me to want to deal with. So that's all right. But like I said, I don't know anything about that. So I'll have to, that might be another argument for hiring people too. It's like, if I inadvertently run afoul of an EU law because I let people voluntarily add translations, it may just be safer just to hire somebody and just call it a day. All right, let's think about doing the next item here. We do need to do some more. We do need to do some more enemy items. What do we have missing? Card, where is that card inspection tool? So let's think of some themes for enemy card ideas. Most people still use cookies for auth tokens because you configure them so that the JavaScript can't access certain cookies. Local storage you can't avoid JS access. Oh, gotcha, yeah. Is that true though? I thought maybe local storage is not the thing, but I thought that there was something like local storage that is tied to the domain. So if some JavaScript that's being served from a particular domain tries to access the storage that was created by another domain, like that just gets blocked by the security rules. I thought that was the case because I remember we were doing something weird at my previous job. What were we doing? Oh yeah, we had a weird thing. We had like a weird multi-tenant scenario on our website, on our app, where the tenants could have their own custom subdomains, but the problem is that their auth state would not be preserved. Like if they went to the app via our main domain versus if they went to the app via our subdomain, the auth state would not be preserved because the domains were different. And that would have not been a problem, but the problem is like we had a weird use case where like it was actually quite common for our users to jump from subdomain to subdomain. So it's kind of like if you imagine like Patreon having subdomains for each creator. So instead of patreon.com/firebelly, it would be like firebelly.patreon.com. Well, it's not unheard of for people to be subscribed to multiple Patreon pages, right? And so trying to get the auth state to be maintained if I went from like firebelly.patreon.com to like xyzuser.patreon.com was actually really hard to do because the domains were different and we could not read the auth information from the one domain in the other domain. So that's why I don't know, that's a tangent. I don't even know why I went on that tangent, but I guess it was kind of an interesting problem, that's all. The EU has no power over me. So many ways to cross domains in JS that the risk isn't worth it. Maybe you could just ask us for opinions on translation as a last security check. Yeah, maybe. We'll figure that out. We'll burn that bridge when we get there. We will burn that bridge when we get there. All right, so what kind of enemy items should we do here? Are we missing, let's see. How many weapon items do we have? We have quite a few weapon items. We don't have a lot of alchemical items. We have a lot of ritual. We don't have a lot of relics. So maybe some kind of relic here. I wonder, maybe I should just do like crown jewels, right? That could be a relic. This one's done. For us to tell you everything is translated right and retains all the ideas and love right after professional work. Yeah, that could work. That could work for sure. Or yeah, like something like submit your suggestions for changes or whatever. You would usually have everything in one domain, just have a reverse proxy which would pass the request, the appropriate backend services based on path. Then you have an API gateway which adds the auth. I think that is the solution that we ended up going with. I was not in charge of that effort. My brilliant engineer friend who I was working with is the one who got all that set up. So many ways to JS cross-site script and so much work to prove you blocked cross-site scripting attacks. Yeah. I'm a quarter stack developer. How about you? I'm a 7/8 stack developer. That's funny. So we'll do like crown jewels. I don't know what size should this be. Oh my gosh. 1 by 1 might be too small. 1 by 2 might be a little bit weird. 2 by 1? I don't actually know. 2 by 2 would be fine. I mean, I could try to draw. I could try to do 1 by 1. I don't know, 2 by 2 feels too big to me. I might try 1 by 1. I might just, instead of trying to draw the whole thing in the 1 by 1, I might just like zoom in on a section of it, if that makes sense. So let's see. So if I do, let's see if this actually ends up looking all right. Actually, we may be able to do, may actually be able to make this work. Let's see. Okay. Maybe. I don't know. It's going to look very basic, I think. We will see how it looks. I don't know if this is going to turn out good at all, but we will see. Maybe. I think that looks decent. I don't know if there's too much of a problem with that. And then this one This is the hard part, is just getting these. Well, this may work. I may get rid of, let's just get rid of this one so we can make that orange. Yeah, that works. My cat is being annoying now. What else is new? Maybe that looks okay. I don't know. Well, I think that's fine. I don't know. I think it's okay. I'm more of a full heap developer myself. What are we doing? Still adding new content. Where are all the full heap developers? Oh, yeah. Too slow. How did you develop the game AI to play against the player? Well, there's not really much to the AI. I mean, it just, like, everything in terms of how the cards execute is very, like, just top-down driven, algorithmic. Like, there's no decision making that happens. So the way that the enemy boards are generated is that since it's an auto battler, it's just a matter of placing the items on the board in a way that makes sense. And so I used a wave function collapse algorithm to kind of like somewhat intelligently place enemy items on the board, accounting for like synergies and stuff like that. And so wave function collapse is pretty simple. You know, it's just basically you have a grid and you have a certain number of possibilities that can be placed at every grid cell. And what you do is you find the grid cell that has the fewest remaining possibilities, and then you choose one of those possibilities. And then once you've resolved what a grid cell should contain, you collapse the probabilities of everything else, which basically just means to remove all of the options from any affected cell that are not compatible with the option that you just placed. So in my case, what I'll do is, you know, I place something that scales based off of adjacent items that do healing. And so what I'll do is I'll place that item, and then in the surrounding cells, I will say, remove all cards from the possibility list for this cell where healing is not one of their abilities. And then you just keep recursively, or you do that in like a while loop or whatever. So you keep finding the cell with the lowest number of possibilities. You choose one, then you collapse the other cells based on what was chosen. You repeat until the board is all filled up. And that creates a relatively sensible enemy board layout. And of course, there's still a lot of work that I want to do with it. Like, you can add as many rules as you want to determine like what probabilities exist and everything. But that's basically how it works. Looks like a hookah. Hello, Snupbill. Thank you for the IDR 10,000. Very much appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. With the message, yummers. I have no idea what this is without context. It's okay. A wave function collapse. +1 euro in the wave function collapse jar. Is that euro or 1 cent? 1 euro cent? Is a euro cent a thing? Anyway. Let's see how it looks in game before I do anything with it. It's the euro symbol. Okay. I think it looks okay. I think it looks fine. For such a small area, I think it's all right. All right, so now we need to give this abilities. So let's think on the abilities that we can do. But before I do that, I will take a quick 3-minute break. And when I come back, we will add some abilities to this. Also, before I go, I'm going to increment this because we implemented one item. Okay, I'll be right back in just 3 minutes and we'll continue on. All right, I'm back. Has anyone seen... I have those banners that come up at the bottom of the screen sometimes. I haven't paid attention. Did anyone see the new Alka Mortis art pop up? I'm kind of wondering, are my banners working? Refresh cache of current page. I want to make sure that I did that correctly because I didn't test it. Anyway. All right, what ability should we give the crown jewels here? I did. Oh, checked out the Steam page to see it too. Awesome. Thank you, Scruns. Lurking Neozoid, welcome. So the crown jewels. So this is, let's get the thing set up first. So crown jewels. This is a 1x1. We'll give it a relatively quick cooldown. This is a relic, and it is none of those things. All right, so, oh, this needs to be is enemy, is flippable, minimum notoriety region. We'll just put it in the second notoriety region, or the third notoriety region only. And then what ability should we give it? If you take damage with the crown jewels on the board, it hurt a lot. It hurts a lot. So it's just a strictly negative. Let me see what I have in ability ideas here. Deal bonus damage if no status is applied. Clear exhaust from adjacent items. Every time X is executed, paralyze an ally card. Consume all current poison stacks and deal damage equal to that amount. I don't really have any good ability ideas for this. Fortunately, we just need to come up with one. What would be a good ability for this? The Steam capsule art is super cool. Thank you, Yato. I appreciate that. Yeah, I like it a lot. I think it turned out great. I think it turned out really good. What ability should this have? I mean, I guess let's just go to the card inspection tool. I feel like, I mean, there's so many abilities that I could do, but it's hard to articulate a specific ability, if that makes any sense. I guess what I'm saying is like I know that there's so much room to do interesting things with the abilities, but sometimes my creativity is lacking and I can't think of anything super interesting. Which is fine. I mean, it doesn't need to be super interesting all the time, but, you know, if there's an opportunity to do something interesting, let me look at the fox real quick. Be consistent with my language here. I'll have to do a whole language pass on everything. Could do ability projection, perhaps. We already have a lot of that. Swarm might be a good one. Maybe not, though. Speed. Blind. What is this one? Self-critical multiplier modification. Unspecified. Oh, Friar is wrong. Actually, I'm going to take a look at the scarecrow too. This needs to have the plural form. Does it have the plural form? It does not. Okay, let me set this up really quick. Copies up to abilities of adjacent items. Description template singular. Oh wait, yeah, copies up to one ability. And then we do description. Wait a minute, this is wrong. Oh, I kind of did my own plural form here, I guess. We can bake the plurals directly into this ability definition now. So the description plural count func is equal to this current ability limit. Description translation key. Yeah, that's fine. Copies up to 0 abilities of adjacent items. Copies up to 0 ability of adjacent items. Okay. So now if I build this, that will update the translations. Crown Jewel seems like an enemy card. It is, yes, it is. Buffs minions directly below it or projects something. Buffs minions would be good. Below. Buff minions below. So each of that icon is a node. I don't know which icons you're referring to. Something simple could do apply to wholly. This value increases by 1 each execution. I might do a mix of what you suggested as well as what Junie selected or suggested. What if it paralyzes a random enemy item for a few turns, and if X number of enemy items are paralyzed, it will exhaust a random enemy and a random allied item? That is an interesting ability. I don't know if I would put that on a 1x1 though. That seems a little bit too impactful for a 1x1. Disables cards on the bottom of the board and applies echo to itself. That is an interesting one. I'm going to write some of these down as different abilities. Exhaust items on bottom edge of board. Gain echo if exhaust at least one. Paralyzes a random enemy item for a few turns. So paralyze random item turns if it paralyzes X number of items, exhaust random ally and random enemy. But I think what I'll do is we'll make it apply wholly based on the number of minions below it. So we'll do a mixture of Ninja Link's and Junie's suggestion. Query target provider is equal to query target provider dot create options. Options dot tag filter is equal to card tag dot minion. Options dot query directions is equal to board inventory component dot query directions dot entire board. No, not entire board, dot down. I might also want to do something interesting. No, it's fine. Base wholly is equal to 1. Value scalar dot set multiplier base wholly. Or no, I should do var current wholly. Dynamic wholly is equal to new dynamic magnitude ability. Value scalar. Then we put the query target provider here. Dynamic wholly there. Scaling func var scalar is equal to ability scalars get wholly. Scalar current wholly is equal to scalar base wholly. value scalar, set multiplier, current holy. Description template. Apply 0 holy for each per, we want to use per query target provider two query string template 1. Description template parameters func. This would be current holy, card crown jewels holy per minion. Okay. Let's see if that works. Oops, I didn't mean to run it, but that's all right. You could go nuclear, make it innate, and grow ease execution by the clergy below it. Yeah, that is, I mean, that's definitely an interesting idea for sure. I just don't want to make a 1-by-1 item too powerful, that's all. I don't have any more minions. Okay, that seems to be working. By skeleton commander. Just thinking, if you use instance in queue each time your board change. Interesting. I don't know what you're referring to, Kelso. Are you talking about? Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry. Okay. That is working. Hello, Get Gopher. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you. All right. We need the flavor text for that, so that's not quite done. Oops. Okay. It's not quite done, but we can call it good for now. There's something that I want to fix really quick. These labels are not correct. Okay. I have a radical idea. Enemy cards cost mystery dust after a victory, meaning you can use them on your board. Can be balanced by making the powerful cards really expensive, plus it fits necromancy. Could be a run modifier too. That is an interesting idea. I do have... Did I do this correctly? Is it just called Ring? There we go. So Subjugator's Ring has a 50% chance to award one defeated enemy item after combat victory. So we kind of already have that. So I don't know if it needs to be a main mechanic in the game, because it can be accomplished via artifact. You're welcome, Kelso. What games were the inspiration for Alchemortis? So it was originally inspired by the Bazaar. I liked the flow of the Bazaar in terms of like how you could get multiple upgrades before engaging in combat. So I was like, oh, this would be really fun as like a single player roguelite. The other thing is like a lot of the auto battler games were like PvP. There were obviously like some auto battler single player games, but yeah, I thought it would just be fun to take that kind of formula but put it into a roguelike single player experience. And I think it's, yeah, I think it works really well. All right, so all that text looks correct now. Good. You can also get them from packs with modifiers, right? It'd be nice if the ring lets you pick what item you get for blood or random for free. The ring is nice, but the chance you get a stinky card from the enemy reward is pretty high. Yeah, well, you have to keep in mind too that the ring stacks as well. So if you get multiple subjugators rings, you could get multiple opportunities. But yeah, maybe some way, or you know, it could be like, you know, I could offer like rare booster events on the map, which just contain enemy items, right? That could be a way that I do it. So yeah, there's opportunities here. Did you play Mecha Bellum at all at some point? No, I did not. I don't know what that game is. I haven't heard of it. Slave auction node so you could buy enemy cards. That's hilarious. Okay. All right, let's think of another item we can do here while we're here. Horse Inn, Village Idiot. Can I see the items per region? No, I don't want that. We're up to 176 items in the game now. Again, the goal is to end up around 300 to 400. So if we use the 300 as the target, we're over halfway there. But I'm thinking I'm going to do these things quite frequently leading up to release, where I just say I'm going to create 3 items per day for 10 days. Because, you know, it's manageable. It's like, it's enough work, or it's like adding 3 items in a day is definitely doable. And that also gives me room to like spend some time making at least one of those items pretty interesting. So 3 items per day for 10 days, that's 30 new items, and it only takes a week and a half to do, right? The downside is that that's basically the only thing that I can spend time on, because I have to do the art and I have to come up with the abilities and I have to, you know, configure them and all that stuff. So I can't be spending like 2 or 3 hours working on something else on the game necessarily. But a week and a half of just doing that content, I get 30 new items in the game. If I do that 3 times, that's almost 100 new items in the game, right? So I like that. I think I'll probably do several more of these little bursts of content as we get closer to release. But yeah, I definitely want there to be lots and lots and lots of cards to play with. And also the benefit of doing a lot of items like that is there's more opportunities to have more unlocks as well, like unlock card packs and whatnot. Kind of want to see what your drawing of a village idiot would be. Yeah, the oil barrel item that was suggested a while back could be a good one that I don't think would be too bad to implement. Can you remind me what the ability was? And would that be an enemy item? Now that I think about it, it could be interesting to have like cross-faction items. So items that exist both as a player item and as an enemy item. Yeah. Yeah, I think I remember that. Reduce cooldown of 1+ random adjacent items with a fire ability by 0.5x the cooldown of this item. Oh, interesting. Crow could be a cross-faction card. Let me think about that some more. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I don't know what just happened. Okay, well. Move this up. Well, we can do the oil barrel. I'm just making an enemy item for now. And then we'll see if we can add cross stuff. Make it a 1x2. See if I can do this. Oh, save that. Okay. All right, then. Let's do... I'm gonna make it kind of like bigger than the bounds of the card, I think. Oops. I'll see if this will work. I have no idea if it will or not. Let's do this. This may not work because it's not big enough. Yeah, this probably won't. This probably won't look that great. Okay, let's take a different approach then. Yeah, let's just do it again. What I may need to do instead is make it smaller. So that I can draw the rotundness that it needs to have. Rotund. That's probably fine. Yeah, that's probably fine. I guess barrels are my weakness, but I think what I'll do is I could potentially, well, I was thinking about stacking them. So if I duplicate this guy and I put one like over here. Yeah, so if I do this, so outline that just so I can see what's happening. Obviously it needs to be shaded, so do not fear, it will be shaded. Okay, so if I duplicate this, I can move this one behind, like so. Duplicate this one and move this one up, like that. Oops. So if I do something like this, and then this one will need to have, I guess both of these will need to have those cut off. So do this. Oh, that wasn't even close. Oh, I'm on the wrong layer, that's why. There we go. So we'll do something like that for the oil barrels. So it kind of just looks like, I don't know, like a top-down view, and they're kind of like aligned a little bit. Now that I'm looking at it though, I may want to change the positioning of this one over just a little bit. Move that one up. Should I move this one up as well? Yeah, I think that looks fine. So now I can take this, delete that, take this one, delete that. I think that looks pretty good, actually. That part is a little bit weird now. Maybe we'll move that one over just a little bit again. Okay, and maybe down as well. That's probably fine. All right, we're gonna YOLO mode this now. We're just gonna merge all these down. YOLO mode. Okay, so now I can actually shade these things. So do this, kind of get those situated. Probably will want some kind of curvature, imply some curvature there. Actually move this over. Yeah, something like that. And we'll do the same. So I think these ones will actually need to be darker by default. So we'll just darken this up real quick. Obviously more shading to be determined. But these are kind of background elements, so they're going to need to be darker, generally speaking. Okay, and then for these, just highlight this. Perfect. This. Oh, did I do this one wrong? The problem is I don't have a darker version of the blue here, so it kind of looks weird, but I think it's okay. I think it's all right. Can make this. Wonder if I just fill in the hole instead of leaving it. Yeah, that probably works better, actually. Might just do the same thing over here as well. Yeah, I think it's probably okay. Maybe I'll remove some of these from the edge here. Now that looks kind of weird. Well, I don't know. I think it's okay. I'm looking at it too much, I think. Let's go ahead and copy this. We're just going to do a transplant onto here. Of course, remove that part. Okay, and then these will just be darker. Yeah, this is kind of the hard part here. But I think it looks all right. I mean, it's fine. This one looks kind of weird because you can't see the right. You can't see it bowing over to the right. So let's try something. Let's duplicate this. I'm just going to delete this guy here. And I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm just going to copy this. Barrels almost always look identical to each other, right? So it's probably okay. Copy this. Paste it there. All right, how does that look? And what I may actually do is make it even darker here. No, that does not look good. Well, I don't need to get too fancy with the spices. That was a Ratatouille reference, by the way. I think it's all right. It's fine. I think it reads as barrels, right? That's the most important thing. There we go. How do you feel about items you can use during battle, like clicking to throw a poison bottle you got from somewhere? Yeah, I don't really like that idea. Because I think, you know, part of the feedback that I've gotten is like sometimes it's hard to follow in combat what's happening. And I think that's just a problem with auto battlers generally, but I think that problem would be exacerbated if I was expecting the player to be able to use an item effectively. So, I mean, I'm not opposed to having like an artifact which you can explicitly activate prior to combat if you choose to. But I don't want things to happen like during combat. Like combat is like set and forget, and trying to ask the player to like keep track of everything that's happening during combat and use an item at the right time. I think that would add more problems than it would. Well, it would add problems and it wouldn't really add much to the gameplay. But yeah, I don't have a problem with like, you know, as a spin on that idea, like I said, having artifacts that you can choose to activate prior to combat. So like maybe they have like, they're a one-use item, and then it's up to you which combat encounter you want to use it on. You know, like I could see an artifact that basically just causes you to like instantly win the combat. It's like a rare artifact or something. But, you know, you may hold on to that and just say, oh, I have no resurrection. Like you may die in a combat and be like, oh, I have no resurrection stones left. So maybe at that point you choose to use that item that just like helps you win in a dramatic fashion. The fatness of the barrel. Item idea, 3 gnomes in a trench coat. All right. IDK, what they do, it'd be funny, yeah. Is pixel drawing same level of difficulty as normal drawing? I don't know. I don't have any normal drawing experience. I just basically went straight to pixel art, so... you know, I think... I would assume there are certainly some ideas that carry over. It's harder and easier in many ways, but probably is easier to get something decent since people's minds often fill missing details. Olive oil is the most powerful medieval weapon. That's cool, thank you. Hello, Jackie Daytona. Welcome. Good to see you again. Last one can be more darker. You can roll with it. Yeah. I think it's fine. I think it's fine. Okay. So we will make this potentially a player and an enemy item. The problem is I don't have a way of doing that currently. So I will need to investigate the technical details of that. But for now, we're just going to make it an enemy item. And we'll make it flippable. What was the idea? Reduce the cooldown of one random adjacent items with a fire ability. By half of the cooldown of this item. Okay. So this is an alchemical, obviously. I guess it's just alchemical, actually. Minimum notoriety region, maximum notoriety region. We'll just keep that. We'll make it available in all regions. Okay. Would you recommend Godot for mobile games? Again, I don't have any experience with mobile, so I don't know. I'm sorry to say. Hello, all my brothers and sisters in coding, items, and a huge mug. Yes. Hello, Julio. Welcome. Good to see you. All right, I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break, and then when I come back, we will add that item, that ability that Ninja Link suggested to this item. So give me just 3 minutes. I'll be right back, and we'll do that. Oops, I was going to say I'm back, but I forgot my drink. Let me just go get that really quick. Sorry. All right, I'm back. Okay. Going to need to think up some more items. My backlog is running thin. All right, so reduce the cooldown to 1 plus random adjacent items with a fire ability by 0.5x the cooldown of this item. Okay. There we go. What? We have a cat now. What are you doing? You're tiny. You are tiny. What are you doing? Oh, squirming away. All right. So query target provider is equal to query target provider dot create options. We are going to do options dot custom filter equals card dot has related ability type ability explanations dot fire. We will do options dot limit is equal to 1. We'll maybe increase the limit, so var const base const int base limit var current limit is equal to base limit. So we'll do current limit there. Options dot query directions is equal to board inventory component dot query directions dot adjacent. Key adjacent fire speed. Okay, so now we need var speed is equal to new speed. We also need the card data provider, var card data provider. Card data provider, var generic speed magnitude provider is equal to new generic value provider int. We're just going to do return card data provider dot turn cooldown divided by 2. Okay, speed generic speed magnitude provider. Oh wait, this needs to be query target provider 1. Yeah, we'll just do 0 to start. Actually, let's do new dynamic magnitude ability. I think this is the first time I'm doing a dynamic magnitude ability that's wrapping a speed ability. But anyway, generic value provider. Nope. Let's just call this speed magnitude provider. Okay. So this one is going to need to be query target provider, card data provider, and speed. Scaling func var scalar is equal to ability scalars dot make additive scalar 1. Current limit is equal to scalar base limit tier. Query target provider dot query options dot limit is equal to current limit. All right, let's see if we can one-shot this description. Should we make this innate? Maybe we will. Reduce the remaining cooldown of adjacent of query target provider dot query to query string template. Limit param index is 0. Force card plural true. I'm gonna have to make this value here. Const speed multiplier is equal to 0.5f float. Mathf dot floor to int. By speed multiplier x no. This is always so confusing. 0.0 x of this item's cooldown. Okay, and then we're going to basically duplicate this, except this is description template singular, force card singular, description template parameters func, query target provider. We could just do current limit here, actually. Current limit. And then speed multiplier. Then we need the description plural count func, current limit. All right, did we do that correctly? Only one way to find out. Oh, I need to do order by random on that. I forgot. Okay. That should change the description here. Random adjacent allied item. Okay. All right. Project settings. Kitty, I missed the failed gold explanation part. How's it going? New capsule art's dope. Thank you. Hello, Artem. I just failed to add 3 new items to the game yesterday. I only added 2, but it's okay. I'll do 4 today to make up for it. Reduce the remaining cooldown of one random adjacent allied item by 0.5x of this item's cooldown. Oh. I need to do also this. Shoot, this might actually not be good. Does that work? Forgot to specify with a fire ability. Well, that does work. Okay, let's see what happens. 2.2 seconds, 4.5. Yeah, that's correct. Reduce cooldown remaining of Phoenix by 2.2 seconds. That's pretty cool, actually. All right, the oil barrel is functional and done. So I still need to add the flavor text for that. So once I get these two done, then we'll be up to 3. So that will be my goal for today. But I am going to do one more to make up for yesterday's failure, which I only did 2. But so far, I mean, even with my failure yesterday to meet the goal, still ahead of schedule because I have 2. So I've basically, if assuming I don't do 4 today, I still have 1 extra than what my target was. So that's good. But instead of having 30 items by the end of this 10-day period, if I could have 35 items, that would be great. That would be great because every little bit helps, right? Like it's such a not a cliche thing, but it's such an obvious thing to say. But like every item I add gets me 1 item closer to having 300 or 400 items in the game. So just have to do it, right? And just getting all these things done gradually over time will slowly but surely get us there. Element 710 barrel. I don't get the reference. What is that? Anyway, that is a good stopping point for the stream today. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for being here. Always appreciate your support. Check out the dope new Steam page if you haven't seen it yet. Love the capsule art. I'm just loving that capsule art. As a matter of fact, I may make this my desktop background when the stream ends here. But anyway, your support and suggestions and all that stuff is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for watching. Again, you could support on Patreon or buy one of my courses, or you can join the Discord, so on and so forth. So if you enjoy the content, if you're liking where Alchemortis is going, any and all support is greatly appreciated, even if it's just liking the video, following on Twitch. All that stuff is greatly appreciated. And 710 is oil backwards. Oh, oil backwards in numbers, very nice. But yeah, thank you all again. Go plunder some islands. I may do that. I'm going to get my McDonald's. I'm going to play like an hour and a half of Windrose, and then I'm going to be back to working on Alchemortis. So anyway, thanks again, everyone. I can't say thank you enough. It's, yeah, your help and your support is very, very much appreciated. And I will see you back here tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. Okay, bye-bye.